So massive thanks for joining myself this afternoon. Look, the main man himself, Mr. Burns. So look, I'm really delighted to be with David. Someone said I wasn't in the picture of one of my lives. Look, the most important person who's in the picture is David, to be fair. So a massive thanks to Laura as well. So let me just swivel the camera around. So look, David, first of all, your article in the National Development Summit Conference Handbook is about...
It's about the right of first refusal, so it's quite a detailed article. As you mentioned before we went live there, it's a little bit complex, but in summary, it's just worth developers being aware of that act and being aware of the consequences of that act and the consequences of the Leasehold Reform Housing and Urban Development Act 1993. Just bear those acts in mind when you are thinking of developing out sites.
Can we just explore it a little bit more? So I know some people are going to not be able to go to the summit of 2020. Some people are going to go to my monthly events, of course. Hopefully we possibly have that subject at the monthly events. But to the listeners out there who've never heard of the right of first refusal,
yes.
In one or two sentences, what is the crux of it?
So
and of course, read the Summit Conference Handbook if you're coming along, but this is just a preview.
Yeah. So the right of first refusal is an act which entitles certain qualifying tenants the first right to refuse if a landlord disposes of an interest that could be caught by that act. So for example, if they sold a freehold title which contain qualifying tenants who own leases, there may well be a requirement on that landlord to offer it to his leaseholders before he sells it on the market. So it's just something to be aware of for people who are considering selling freehold interests.
And this goes back to 1993?
1987. The 1993 Act is a separate act, and that is something for developers to be aware of as well, because in certain circumstances, tenants who qualify for enfranchisement can force a landlord to sell the freehold to them. So there are certain ways to address that and deal with that, but again, it's just something that landlords ought to be aware of.
Look, David, I haven't really introduced you. You're one of the partners of Ronald Fletcher Baker, brand new logo for 2020, the decade. Look, Ronald Fletcher Baker, medium-sized law firm, dates back to 1947. So I can tell you that. I can't get all these dates, but that's why you and Rudy are going to be at the National Development Summit 2020.
Yeah.
Look, Laura, we were discussing beforehand some of the questions which you saw before. So what's your role in Ronald Fletcher Baker? I know David's coming, I know Rudy's coming as well. You're in the same team as Rudy?
Yeah, so I'm an associate here and work alongside David and Rudy in the Property Litigation Department.
So and David said there's no typical question beforehand or no easy answer. But in terms of what's your day-to-day involvement is?
Yeah, so on a day, no 2 days are the same for us, but the kind of typical stuff we deal with, we act for a lot of developers and landlords, so a lot of the problems they come across when looking to develop their properties, or they've got tenants and problems with their tenants, that's kind of our bread and butter that we deal with pretty regularly, really.
And David, some of the questions which you're looking forward to seeing, or just examples of questions, we were discussing the impact. Well, 2020, what does it mean? Mm-hmm. So, brief synopsis, and maybe that's one of the questions. Questions at rfblegal.co.uk. So just to repeat, questions at rfblegal.co.uk. In terms of the questions to send over to you, what would be good questions?
Well, there's no good or bad question, Brandon, but any question that people think is going to add value from their point of view that relates to any sort of property matter, we're happy to discuss with them on the day. We're used to dealing with a whole range of property related issues. Also, we expect in the next week potentially there's going to be some new law that may affect leaseholders and landlords, which we're probably going to be discussing. I expect people will be asking us about.
Sorry, just say that again.
Yeah, so there may well be some legislation or new new announcements coming out, which may impact leaseholders and landlords.
And you're saying
very
it's going
shortly.
to come out Q1 this year, potentially?
Yep. Yeah. Some new stuff. So I think it's most likely, I would anticipate that's going to be brought up at the summit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, look, in terms of the summit and who you like to see at the summit, who's of interest to you? Who's been of interest to you in previous summits?
Oh, there's
We
been-
almost had a crash there, but
yeah.
not quite.
There's been, there's several, so it's always hard to pick out names. But I seen one of your posts before which mentioned that, the place of Evan McDonald at the back of the room previously. He's obviously.
Oh, you saw that post?
I did. I seen
saw that post.
I saw that post, and obviously it's going to be interesting to hear how his deals are going. He's got big deals on, and it's always interesting to hear the feedback from developers at the sharp end.
I was with Thomas a couple of days ago. It's confidential the amount of money he's spending with service providers, but it's scary for me as well. So, look, really delighted to have Thomas Knust there. So massive thanks to Thomas. Very humble guy. You would not imagine he's doing that size of deal. So you can't always judge a book by a cover. That's one thing I learn again and again. So National Development Summit. Massive thanks to Ronald Fletcher Baker for being involved. Look, they promised these goodie bags will be arriving very, very soon. So, look, Ronald Fletcher Baker, brand new logo as well. So if you look at my post, you'll see the new branding. What does it mean for Ronald Fletcher Baker in terms of the new logo, new design? Or should we go into that question at the summit?
Yeah, maybe worth going into the question at the summit, but we're still committed to excellence, to providing a good service, and we're keen to be part of the summit and to meet everyone there.
And the key thing for me to emphasise is medium-sized law practice based London, Manchester, and you've also got offices in Istanbul, is that correct?
Yeah, partnerships in Istanbul and a lot of connections internationally that we're growing.
Okay, so look, massive thanks to both David and Laura. You can follow both of them online as well. You can connect with Ronald Fletcher Baker. They've got a website, and you regularly do blogs as well.
Yep, yeah, we do. Laura's quite active on the blogging.
So rfblegal.co.uk, is that correct?
Yep.
Good.
rfblegal.co.uk.
So thank you, and thank you. So 18th of, I haven't even emphasised the date. So 18th of January 2020.
Yeah.
Delighted, over 130 people already registered. Look, the venue's not massive, so if you're coming along, do book early, don't leave it to the last minute. And I just want to say massive thanks for David, Laura today, and also in the build up to the summit, for sharing the post, being active, and I love how Laura is using Instagram much better than me. I'm old school. I never really grew up with Instagram stories and so forth, so I'm very much old school, but it's interesting how likes of Laura using social media really well. So I said to Laura it'd be great, and also Sam Norris, I'm really impressed by Sam as well. So Sam comes from Bond Finance, he's one of the exhibitors, so delighted we've got Bond Finance, Lendwell as well exhibiting. Lots of focus been on the sponsors, of course, Ronald Fletcher Baker, Crowd with Us, and Aura Architecture. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.